So today we continue from lesson 7 on our R tutorial for data science and machine learning, and today's class is going to be working with dataset. So basically I'm going to show you how to play around with dataset and get used to some of the functions and operations you can perform on data. So I'm going to end this presentation and let's go get started. Remember to subscribe to my channel. If you've not subscribed, just click on the subscribe button below so that you don't miss an update. And also, if you subscribe, you kind of motivate me to keep making these lessons. Now, there are three data sets I can show you how to use. So if you go to packages and you search for package called ISLR. So this package contains data sets. So you can see all these are data sets, free data sets you can use. So how do you use them? You need to install the package ISLR. So let me just go back. So the packages, come to packages. So you can just click on it and click on install, but I already have installed it, so I'm not installing it a second time. So if you've installed it, so you can have access to the data sets. So since I've installed it, I'll simply type auto. So you can see that the data set is available for me, okay? So I'm going to clear my screen using Control L, and let's see what this data set is all about. So let's say dimension auto to see that it has 392 rows and 9 columns. So how do we know the names of these columns? You can use something like, I already taught you about Fix. So Fix will actually display this data in an Excel kind of format so that you'll be able to see in a spreadsheet format. So you can see row.names. So this is more like this row.names is a serial number. So you have MPEG, cylinder, displacement, horsepower, weight, acceleration, year, and original name. And this is about Fix. Another way you can view all the columns is to use names. So names, and you say auto, is going to give you the names of all the features in this data set. Okay. All right. Another thing we would like to do is to plot. Although you've learned about plotting before, I've taught you about 3D plotting and also taught you about 2D plotting and also interactive plotting. That's we did in tutorial 6. So just a reminder, you can make a plot of, let's say, MPG against cylinders. Okay, so now you can see it tells us MPG and cylinders not found. Meanwhile, we have the columns MPG and cylinders right here. So the problem here is that this MPG and cylinders, you need to tell R that they belong to the auto dataset. It may happen that there is another dataset that contains these same columns. So you need to kind of tell R that what you are trying to plot is coming from this dataset. So how do you do it? You use I think it's called the referencing symbol, the $sign. So you say auto and you say $sign, and you now specify what you want to use. And you say auto $sign, and you now specify what you want to use. So in this case, it plots it exactly the way we want. If you don't want to be typing the $sign, you can just say attach auto. So if you use attach auto, it will expose this data set and it will actually expose the column names or the features of this data set. So if you now run the command plot MPEG and cylinder, it plots correctly. Okay, so another thing I would like to show you, of course you already know how to use change the colors and to change some of the titles of your plot and things like that. If you don't know, please look at the previous tutorial. Alright, so let me show you something that is called pairwise plot. So what is pairwise plot? Pairwise plot is a way to plot your data set such a way that each of the features is plotted against another feature. So basically, if we have, let's say we have names. So we have about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 features. So we are going to plot MPEG against cylinder, cylinder against displacement, displacement against horsepower against weight, weight against acceleration. So we are combining the features in pairs and we are plotting them in that way. So that is called a pairwise plot. So let's do it. To do that, simply say pairs and you specify the data set you want to plot. So now it takes a while, but it plots. So let's kind of zoom in so that we see what is happening. So this is a pairwise plot. So you can see the names of the columns right here. So the plot of cylinder against MPG is this plot. The plot of cylinder against displacement is this one. The plot of MPG against displacement is this one, and so on and so forth. So this is called pairwise plot, and it's very handy. Another thing you might want to know about is how to plot a histogram. I don't know if I mentioned this in the previous tutorial, so but I'm going to mention it now. So histogram, and let's plot. We only need one row or column of data, or one column of data. So let's use MPG. So that gives us a histogram. Of course, you can use PCH. So actually, color is equal to blue. So you can change the color any way you want, and so on and so forth. So if you want to adjust the properties of this histogram, you can just use this, and you'll be able to find what you can do. So we have frequency, probability, right, density, angle, and so on and so forth. So you can play around with all of this. But finally, another thing that is very important I would like to let you know is something called summary. Yeah, so summary is really very important. So summary gives you more like a statistical summary of your data set. So you say summary auto, and it will give you a summary of the data set. So at this point, it's telling us all the details about the features in this data set. So we have MPG, the minimum value in MPG column is 9, the maximum is 46.6, the mean is 23.45, the median is 22.75, and so on and so forth. So the same thing for all other features of this data set. What else are we forgetting? I think this is much for now. Take some time to play around it, and then you get used to it. In the next lesson, we'll be going to something a bit more tasking. We'll be looking at more of regression in the next class. So I'd like to thank you for viewing. Remember, if you've not subscribed to my channel, subscribe to my channel right now by clicking on the subscribe button below. And feel free to leave me a comment if you have any challenges following any of my lessons.